Trouble may be brewing at Treyarch. CDProject RED have scored another big PR win. We reveal the insane scale of Gacha games and far more with a new Steam client and a very funny situation where an Epic Store exclusive needs Steam VR to run. Hey everyone and welcome back to the Roundup. This one is a little bit late because I was at a con, and first an important announcement: we are hiring. We are looking for a news writer and researcher to help us on content for this channel. Local is ideal, but we're also interested in remote applications. If you want more details, hit up the link below, and a massive thank you to everyone for supporting this channel, especially in Patreon, as that is what has let us get to this point. Okay, let's get into the news, and we're going to kick it off with the spicy situation between Activision and Treyarch. It's a developing story that's full of misinformation and intrigue. Now, to set the stage, there were rumors earlier this month about Black Ops 4 from a YouTuber called The Gaming Revolution. Supposedly, the recent, very aggressive monetization strategy was directly from the head of Treyarch, Mark Lamia, as opposed to being directly from Activision, and supposedly those things are all going to get 10 times worse. Apparently, Activision are pissed with Treyarch for their recent performance, and that's what's sort of driving him to go deeper in the monetization. Since then, though, more rumors have surfaced with multiple leakers with sources at Treyarch. Now, they're saying that former co-studio head and the director of Campaign and Zombies, Jason Blundell, has been fired alongside other executives because of numerous mistakes that have been made on the Black Ops campaigns, and apparently also leaking information under the influence of alcohol. Now, Activision have since cast doubt on a lot of that info. They were very prompt to respond to this, and they said that Blundell has not been fired, that he's still directing Zombies, and is actually working on new creative opportunities at Activision. Since then, the Gaming Revolution has followed up with additional info after apologizing for adding to the rumors. So apparently his sources at Treyarch had came to an incorrect conclusion and then reported that to him. They thought that Jason, basically he'd been out of the office for a decent amount of time, and they took that as meaning that he had been fired, when actually we know it's about this new project within Activision that he is at. Now, it's worth mentioning that Activision may be correct in their statement, but fully intend to let him go. They've done similar before. The Sledgehammer Games founder, Schofield and Condry, they were moved on to new projects at Activision only to be let go a few months later when those things proved not to work out. Now, given that Black Ops 5 has had an entire year cut out of its development time, it's likely that it's going to be the third Treyarch game in a row to go through massive production issues, which usually will result in a poor game, and that's not good for the studio. If things really do start to go wrong there, I suppose we can expect heads to roll, but probably in a PR-friendly way. Treyarch themselves have issued a statement denying any single member of the team or studio is involved with the decision-making to such a high level, and that basically they would like the community to be discussing the game rather than targeting individuals, which I guess is kind of fair enough. Now, beyond that, it's basically impossible to know what information is accurate here. Rumors can be dangerous, and that's why most outlets don't give them the light of day, especially when they involve personal info and allegations. I think this is really an issue where sources are deemed reliable. The Gaming Revolution has been quite reliable with recent rumors, but it seems like, his sources were giving correct info within their wheelhouse, but then his sources were incorrect when it came to a related topic. It's a cautionary tale, but we're yet to see the extent of the damage here. I'd love to know, though, what bits of this are true. Surely some of what those sources have said will have been on the money, because if it turns out the Black Ops 4 is going to get a whole lot worse with its monetization, and that is a decree from the Treyarch leadership, even if it's, under pressure from Activision, well, we would have a story on our hands. We'll have to keep an eye out for this, because if it gets worse than the $3,800 of cosmetics and the bugs that result in pay-to-win weapons, well, that will be worth talking about. Next up, though, we've got a positive story. In keeping with their consumer-first behavior, CDProject RED have confirmed that there will be no in-game bonuses for pre-orders in Cyberpunk 2077, saying this: "No, we don't do that. Every person that buys the game gets exactly the same in-game content, no matter if they buy it in pre-orders, on release date, or 2 years later." And that really did well in getting across CDProject RED's message. They want to be fair. Simply having this message disseminated without them having to make a statement on it themselves else, that's likely going to drive a lot of just grassroots, word-of-mouth goodwill, and that'll mean a lot of pre-orders, especially because there are other, like, incentivization things in place for pre-orders, especially with the $250 collector's edition. Basically, though, CDProject RED are pushing the narrative that they can do no wrong, and I'm reminded of their tweets alleviating Cyberpunk fears. Here's the quote: "We leave greed to others." Certainly a bullish statement, an aggressive one, but it's one that they continually seem to be backing up, and I hope that keeps on going into the future. Then next, an odd one from Xbox, who are clearly on the hunt for quality. We're all aware that first-party exclusives, quality ones, have been their major weakness with this console generation. To that end, they have their new studio, The Initiative, which has now hired 4 of God of War's level designers, with the process seemingly being led by Fiona Cherbach, who was formerly the talent acquisition lead at Sony's worldwide studios. It seems like she's leveraging her contacts and friends at Sony to build The Initiative in the same way that she helped Sony's Californian studios. The Initiative's current listing is basically an all-star cast. You've got lead staff from across the industry, most of them being experienced with third-person action games like God of War, Uncharted, Tomb Raider. But as good as all that sounds, I kind of fear here that they are seeking to copy success rather than to innovate. I mean, they've set up a Santa Monica Xbox studio staffed by former Sony Santa Monica employees. I wonder what the relationship is like there. That does sort of seem like poaching. Anyway, if Xbox can avoid repeating the mismanagement that crushed their older studios and a lot of their reputation with third-party developers, well, yeah, they could be well equipped during the next console gen. Then next up, I hope you like numbers because we have industry numbers. Superdata's monthly report for June has appeared. Worldwide digital revenues up 2% to reach $9.2 billion in June. Mobile is up 7% from the last year, whereas console and PC are down 2% and 9%. Generally, though, there's been a decline on in-game spending in Fortnite as well as softer numbers in other franchises. Superdata also point out that Crash Team Racing, at around 552,000 digital units in June, after launching on the 21st of June, is the second best launch month of any console racer, and they're suggesting that the Crash IP is a lot of that. And really, nostalgia sells. The whole kart racer based around a 90s gaming mascot genre has had 2 solid entries within the month. Apparently Crash Team Racing not really as good, but still sold well, so it's interesting to see that that surprisingly large niche is being well served. Then over in Rainbow Six Siege territory, that game is stronger than ever, with June being their strongest month for MAUs and 6th best for in-game spending after the recent update, and in total, get this, in-game revenue was $36.8 million for June. And then another shooter was mentioned in the report as well, with Overwatch 3 years after launch breaking the $1 billion mark in in-game spending. And apparently there's only 63 games that have ever done that before, and 5 of them belong to Activision. As for the ranking of games that Superdata includes, well, it's an interesting one. The top 5 in PC has not budged, with League of Legends retaining its crown. PUBG has crawled its way into 10th after something of a resurgence, and it's the only game in the list that's not free to play. Then over on console, Black Ops 4 takes the lead away from Fortnite this month, surely due to the aggressive updates and monetization that we've been covering on this channel, so it's sad to see that's working for them. And then a final interesting tidbit is that DMC5 is still on that list, even months after release. Next though, I hope you like 2 things: money and being sad about the future. Why? Well, it's time to talk about how Nintendo's mobile efforts have been going. And you might not be interested in the Nintendo games or even the mobile games. Well, you're probably not interested in the mobile games if you're watching this channel, but trust me, this one is worth you knowing. Dragalia Lost has become their 2nd highest grossing mobile game after Fire Emblem Heroes. It's past the $100 million total mark, overtaking Animal Crossing after 10 months on the market. It looks like, for the core adjacent gaming market, Gacha mechanics are a much stronger monetization method than a lot of the traditional free-to-play trappings, which might be maybe more effective on the wider market. So here's the deal. Apparently, Fire Emblem Heroes nets about $38 on average per download, and Dragalia Lost is just below that at $33 per download. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp? It's only 10% of that at $3.30, and it looks pretty darn clear-cut. The games here with gacha mechanics are literally earning 10 times as much per download as the games that use traditional mobile monetization. So that's not good news, certainly not good for the quality of games, that I suppose it is worth us knowing if we're going to be able to deal with that. Next though, let's blast through the quickfire topics. So, the Switch continues to just be selling a crazy number of games. Fire Emblem Three Heroes is likely to break the series sales record, doubling the launch sales of previous 3DS entries Awakening and Fates in the UK. According to industry analyst Benji Sales on Twitter, there's actually been a significant shortage of physical copies in the US, and that's on top of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 selling more than anyone expected, and Mario Maker 2 then selling 2.4 million copies in its first 3 days, which is an insane number of games. The Switch is absolutely killing it when it comes to shifting a large number of copies of high-quality games. I imagine this is because of them having the 4th highest time-aligned console install base in US history, being beaten by only the Wii, PS2, and PS4. And that's all before they released their $200 handheld-only version. And then I should also mention, as an update, they are issuing free out-of-warranty fixes to the Joy-Con drifting problem that we covered earlier this week. Next up, according to site Android Marvel sources, Steam's new redesign is due to begin rolling out on the Steam beta track in August. Now, we first found out about this via a leak, but Steam did confirm it at the beginning of the year, and really it's about time they had a significant overhaul to Steam. I'm personally interested in comparing it to GOG Galaxy 2 in terms of the library features. Really, I'd like to think that GOG are just putting a bit of a fire under Valve's chair, spurring them on to dev a bit harder. I mean, being realistic from a developer's perspective, the 30% cut in Steam is pretty darn high. It's higher than it needs to be, that's for sure, and when I think about that, you know, what are we paying for with that 30%? What we're paying for is the Steam platform and users being on that platform. So yeah, the more that Valve develop that platform, the more they can justify their 30%. So absolutely, I want this redesign to be doing a lot for Steam's feature set. Now, on the topic of stores, we've got the Epic Games Store. So this is quite funny. They snatched up the previously PS4 exclusive Tetris effect for its PC launch just this week. Right, that's a run-of-the-mill story, but there's one tidbit here that's just funny. One of Tetris Effect's major features is virtual reality, though Tetris Effect VR needs to be ran through Steam VR. And this means that for the average user, you will need to have Steam installed and Steam VR in order to access a feature of a game that you've purchased exclusively on the Epic Games Store. Now, there are workarounds for Vive and Index and alternatives to Steam VR for Oculus, but, you know, this isn't very serious, but it's just an amusing little cell phone from Epic. Next up, we've got a really cool story. So, Media Molecule, the creators of Dream, want to pay small teams to create content for them to use in their game. And I think it's an interesting idea. So, Dreams is in early access right now, and it's got plenty of user content, although Media Molecule have said that it will launch with a full campaign created by them in-game. While they won't be hiring these teams, it will just be like outsourcing, it still is quite cool. They supposedly want to collaborate with small, experienced teams on some smaller projects. Now, like, Dreams is insane. It's basically a game engine that's a game. It's robust enough that we've got this like Final Fantasy VII demo remake that was made in it that looks fantastic. So overall, I would love to see what happens when talented teams actually get funded by Media Molecule and get to make a game in Dreams. It would really show off how robust Dreams is, because at least from an outsider's perspective, not having played Dreams, what people can do in that thing seems just insane. It could be quite massive for gaming. It could inspire a lot of young game designers, so I'm extremely excited about the project. But anyway, there you go. That's it for this episode of The Roundup. Jobs. If you are interested in a writing and research role with us, check out that link below. Yeah, there'll be a lot more info down there. Suffice to say, it's about time that we started expanding so that we can get our content out there more consistently at a higher quality and be able to do more and more projects. This is just the first phase of that. There will be more, and a massive thank you to everyone who supported us thus far, because it's only possible with your support. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.